Mrs. Whammy. Come outside. An important meeting will be taking place now. Everyone stood at the front yard. Then Baron and Baroness emerged from the corner. She has scars on her wrists from the knife and stitches. He has a scar on his neck from rope burn. The other students were shocked. Baroness. I tried to kill myself and almost succeeded, but Mrs. Whammy saved me in my sleep and treated my wounds. She planted a cloned corpse of me on my bed and locked the door to test your mental strength. I was nursed back to health, and with all the burdens of class gone, but I failed Class S and was put into solitary confinement, where the room is all white. No entertainment, and all the food was white. It was hard keeping my sanity, but I was told I would be rewarded if I stayed strong, so I'm trying to give life a second chance. Baron. The teachers strangled me with rope until I passed out. I was convinced they murdered me, and I wondered why there was nothing on the other side. Then I woke up in a white room, too, with no entertainment and all the food was white. I was told the same things as Baroness. I failed the class, too. Jester was furious at his teachers for playing such a sick and morbid game, but is even more relieved and grateful that his friends survived after all. Later that day, he spoke with her. Jester. I am so sorry. It's all my fault you were driven to suicide. I doubt I'll ever forgive myself. Baroness. Nothing is your fault. I took my stress out on you. I didn't mean any of the hurtful things I said. You're a great friend. It's my fault you blame yourself, so please forgive yourself for my sake. Thanks, I'll try. Do you want to get high? Fuck yeah. They got high, watched anime, and ate sweets all night. The next day, Jester is no longer depressed. He is excited for the future. Mr. Whammy. Welcome to Part 4 of Class S. For the next 4 weeks, you will train to regain your prime, so you don't lose any of your new skills. This shouldn't be too hard, like Class C at the worst. We'll start with combat and fitness. Jester will spar with my wife. King will spar with me. The rest of you spar with each other. You can pick your partner or you can do a battle royale. Doesn't matter either way. Mrs. Whammy approached Jester. Jester. There is no way I would hit a woman. That's just wrong. Mrs. Whammy. Drop the sexist garbage. This is just training. Besides, you'll never be able to put a mark on me, even with 1,000 years of training. If you do nothing, I'll beat you to a pulp. Now, let's teach you how to regulate your dead eye. Then we'll train your normal reflexes as they are way behind. I'll go at you with 1% of my base power, so you wouldn't be entirely overwhelmed, hopefully. She flashed to him and knocked him over. He was startled and scrambled back up. He turned on Deadeye, perceiving time at 1/1000th of a second. Even then, her attacks looked almost fast. He could see everything, but he couldn't move quick enough to even defend at all. He ate a nasty combo and rolled to the ground hard. It hurt. King could never hold a candle to her, probably not even in 1,000 years. Jester stood up. Then he got swept and kicked 10 meters. He got back up in more pain. Wow, you're quite the pushover. Fine, I'll go 0.5% on you, but that's my final offer. If you still get your ass handed to you, that's a you problem. She attacked again. Jester just barely managed to somewhat keep up, but couldn't land any counters. A minute passes. Mrs. Whammy. Okay, now it's time to train your normal reflexes. Turn off your dead eye. He complied. He tried to block or dodge, but she was like a bullet, even at 0.5%. He couldn't see any of her attacks, and she beat the crap out of him. Frustrated, he got back up, turned on Deadeye, and can perceive time at 1/1000th of a second again. She got annoyed at the disobedience, so she turned it up a notch. At 10% of her base speed and 1.5% of her base strength, she seemed to have teleported from Jester's point of view, and an insane impact hit his solar plexus. He toppled back 50 feet and coughed up blood. His dead eye turned off automatically as he lost all focus. He almost passed out. I hate repeating myself. Listen to me or face the consequences. Keep your dead eye off for the rest of the day. Now get up. He struggled immensely to get back up and fell to his knees. She yanked him up by the collar and elbowed his face, instantly leaving a bruise. Hurry up! He raised his arms. She went back to 0.5%, and he was helpless against it. After getting beat up for an hour, the match finally ended. All the colorful bruises made him look like a new ethnicity. It sucked. He casually studied some academic subjects for a few hours. Then he had free time. There is no more curfew, too, Mr. Whammy. Okay, let's teach you how to regulate your muscle amplifier. Then we'll train you at normal strength since your other skills need work. Whammy attacked with 1% of his base power. King increased his strength tenfold and tried to defend. He threw a feint which startled King. He grabbed King's palm and gripped. King tried to punch and kick but missed. Whammy pressed down with one hand. King pressed up with both hands at 100% maximum power, but he was still inching down. Whammy crumpled him to the floor, kind of like paper, and laughed at him. King stood up humiliated and enraged. He lunged at full force and speed, throwing a punch. Whammy dodged and tripped him. King caught himself and turned around to be met with powerful wind hitting his eyes, blinding him for an instant. He hit the air hard enough to blind King. In that instant, he kicked the King over. Damn, you're weak. I'll go down to 0.5%, but no lower than that. You better withstand it. Now turn off your muscle amplifier. He complied. He could almost keep up, but he couldn't counter. He tripped him again and knocked him down. Exasperated, he boosted his muscles again tenfold. Mr. Whammy was disappointed at the defiance, so he turned it up a notch. He casually slipped through a barrage, grabbed him by the collar, and with just 5% of his base strength, flung him 200 feet into the air. King tried not to panic about suddenly being in the sky. He landed the best he could, but the fall fractured his limbs. His joints hurt like hell. since they hadn't fully recovered from his fight with Jester. I don't like to repeat myself. Listen to me or suffer. Keep your muscle amplifier turned off for the day. Now get up. He tried to get up, but was stuck on all fours. Whammy picked him up off the ground by his hair and threw an elbow to his solar plexus. King toppled back 16 meters and coughed up blood. Whammy was upon him instantly. I said, get up. King clenched, his eyes closed, and grunted. He forced himself to get up. Whammy took it back down to 0.5%. King got beat up all day, basically defenseless. Then he studied for a few hours. 1 month later, the Whammies spar with them for one last time. They weren't allowed to use their special abilities until instructed. Mrs. Whammy faced Jester with the usual 0.5% base effort. Then they began. Jester is many times tougher than ever, and finally held his own. He was able to avoid most of the attacks, but missed all the counters. Mrs. Whammy: not bad. I almost have to use a little bit of effort. Is what I would say if you were 200 times better than this. You still suck. She bumped it up to 0.6% and tossed him like a rag doll. That's enough. Let's test your academic ability now. They went indoors. She took the world's longest book, that is Breeze Avenue. It's 3 million pages long with 1 billion words. Turn on your dead eye and read this whole book as fast as you can. He complied, perceiving time at 1/1000th of a second. He read 3 million words per minute, or 50,000 words per second in real time, with full comprehension. 333 minutes and 20 seconds later, or about 5.5 hours, he completed the book with a severe migraine. 3 million words a minute. Not bad for a novice. My husband and I can read and understand 10 times faster. His intellect is sexy. Here, take this capsule. It will cure your headache. A minute later, his headache vanished. That capsule also has artificial neurons in it, too. Oh, wait. My bad, she's talking. That capsule also has artificial neurons in it too to repair your brain. My husband and I produce and eat those sometimes because we maxed out the minuscule 2.5 petabyte limit of the human brain long ago. Never use Deadeye again unless it's a true emergency where it's unavoidable, because that hack can cause neuron burnout, brain bleed, and brain death if you abuse it. That capsule will undo the damage caused by the 5.5 hour use. But we won't give you more. Now go to your dorm, there's a gift waiting for you there. He went there and found his report documents. She appeared behind him. Congratulations, you graduate. He is ecstatic. He received his doctorate degree that is somehow legitimate legally. King sparred with Mr. Whammy in base form, who used 0.5% as usual. King could almost keep up and is far better than ever. Nice. Wait, Mr. Whammy. Nice, this is almost a warm-up, is what I would say if you were 200 times more than you are. Sadly, you're still a wimp. He bumped it up to 0.6% and crumpled him to the floor again. Enough, let's go over here. King got up and followed. King turned on his muscle amplifier and bench pressed a 10,000-pound buggy. Mr. Whammy yawned and towed it to the garage with his pinky while it was in park. Mr. Whammy: my wife and I can do 10 times better than that in our sleep, but whatever, you graduate, here's your report documents. The papers showed his final grade and compared him to the other 7 graduates. Just like everyone else's, Baron and Baroness failed and received no papers. The other 8 graduated, received their documents and doctorate degrees, then entered the van. Mrs. Whammy drove with her husband in the passenger seat. The 10 students sat behind them. The 2 failures can try again in 2 years. They each got $500,000 in their bank account, allotted by the Whammies who somehow found and accessed their accounts. It's not much, but it's enough for them to start new lives, to pursue an education. The graduates didn't need money, as the degrees opened many doors to them. Mrs. Whammy: remember, we don't care about any of you at all. You are merely prototypes to us, who will produce results into the world, while we collect the data and refine our experimental teaching methods. Your lives still belong to us, so Class S might still be in session post-graduation. Keep your guards up. Jester said there's no way, and he nervously laughed it off. The Whammies returned a suspicious laugh, and an awkward silence oppressed the mood for the rest of the ride home. Jester was dropped off at his neighborhood. He went home and knocked on the door. His dad answered, and his mom stood behind him. A moment later, they cheered and hugged him. They almost didn't recognize him because he is far more muscular than he's ever been. They went out for sushi and returned home. They were fascinated to hear his story, and he told them. They were disturbed, saying they would have tried to rescue him if they knew about Class S. He told them not to fret since it was worth it. They are very proud of him. Who cares about what the other students experience back home? A month later, Jester moved out because he wants to change the world like L from L Change the World. He wants to end pollution, wars, famine, and corruption. But he knows the powers that be won't budge without a fight. Let's see what this 21-year-old virgin can do in the face of global politics. To be continued, December 16, 2024, 9:35 a.m. All right, that's the finale of Exique Academy. Glad it's finally over because uploading videos is a lot of work. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this doesn't get too much hate, and I'll upload some more crap in a little bit. All right, see ya.